Everyone, you have made it to Friday on a busy week. I'm Jess Abrahamson.
And I'm Kelsey Marrier. Good morning. We're happy to have you joining us. It looks like we're going to have another great day ahead, which is always nice when it falls on a Friday, Ted.
Yeah, probably the best weather day of the week. It doesn't always work out that way, but this time around, yeah, we get to enjoy a day of sunshine eventually and some really great November temperatures. Maybe not November-like to be in the mid-50s or maybe even upper 50s, but we'll be there later today. A little warmer than yesterday, a little less of a breeze than yesterday, and a little more sunshine. Less fog. A lot of things going in our favor. Here's the current view from our studio with our Louis Dodauto camera. It's 44. The wind is pretty light, and notice a little bite to that breeze. It does feel like 39, but not an overpowering wind. In fact, those winds will continue to diminish through the course of the day as high pressure asserts itself nearby and brings a peaceful round of weather for this last day of the work week. 38 at the airport right now in Rochester, just dropping a couple degrees in the last hour. It's 39 in Albert Lea. Mason City 42. Skies are clear, though. We'll stick with the sun-filled day. A few high clouds from the southwest will begin to trickle in, maybe late in the afternoon, really more than likely this evening, before rain arrives tomorrow in the mid-morning hours. Today, some sunshine, just a couple of scattered clouds, but a mostly sunny day with not much wind. High temperature around 55 this afternoon, staying in the 40s this evening. So overall, a really good-looking Friday ahead of us.
Yes, Friday is always the good thing. When you add sun and mild temperatures, even better.
But as much as you could hope for this time of the year.
Making us smile this morning, Ted. That's a good thing. Thank you. In the news this morning, the verdict is in for Adam Fravel, a jury convicting him of killing his children's mother, Madeline Kingsbury.
He now faces life in prison after a jury found him guilty on 4 counts. Our Aaliyah Demery is joining us in studio to continue our coverage of this case and what comes next. Aaliyah, good morning.
Good morning, Jess and Kelsey. Fravel is set to be sentenced on December 17th back in Winona County. The jury deliberating for about 10 hours before handing out their verdict. He was Madeline's ex-boyfriend and the father of her 2 children. The trial included weeks of testimony, domestic violence a focal point throughout, her family testifying that Fravel strangled her in front of their children, one of several domestic violence accusations throughout a 7-year relationship.
As far as the verdict today, of course, we're glad of it. It's a bit of a Pyrrhic victory. We're not going to get Madeline back. Fravel can't be punished enough.
Fravel was found guilty on all charges: first-degree murder while committing domestic abuse with a past pattern of abuse, first-degree murder premeditated, second-degree murder, and second-degree murder without intent while committing a felony. Both counts of first-degree murder carry a mandatory sentence of life in prison.
People are entitled to a jury trial. They had their jury trial, listen to the evidence, and you may disagree with the verdict, but you have to respect the verdict too. So.
Fravel could be seen openly crying before jurors entered the room after deliberating. The Fravel family left the courthouse without a comment. The Kingsbury family says plans are in the works to create a Madeline Kingsbury Foundation, which would support domestic violence victims. Reporting live in studio, I'm Aaliyah Demery. Back to you.
Duluth police are investigating a shocking crime on the city's west side, a murder-suicide. 5 people, including 2 children, were found shot to death in 2 separate homes.
Police will likely share more information about this case during a news conference today. Police first responded to a home on Thursday. There they found a woman and child dead from multiple gunshot wounds. Officers identified a suspect and then went to his home. There they found another woman and child fatally shot. The suspect, a 46-year-old man, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Police say all of the victims knew each other. An investigation is ongoing.
An application deadline has been extended for certain Minnesotans to receive a portion of $1 million in grant money. That money coming from the Realtors Relief Foundation. It would help cover damage from the massive flooding that took place this summer. The extension gives Minnesotans until December 6th to apply. The funding provides up to $1,000 per household to residents who were forced to leave their homes due to flooding. The city of Claremont is getting a brand new mayor, and the new leader was chosen in an unlikely way.
Casey Stryver entered the race for the next mayor of Claremont as a write-in candidate, and when the dust settled, Voters chose him for that job, city officials say. Stryver received 100 out of 107 write-in votes, defeating incumbent Mayor Tasha Dahl, who had 68 votes, and fellow candidate David Stein with 50. Stryver says he plans to accept the nomination. He has been a resident of Claremont for 5 years and ran a campaign which started with about 3 weeks left in the election season.
I went door to door to every person who would open a door and talk to me, and spent a lot of time with people individually and just listen to what they had to say and try to get an idea of what their idea of the future would be.
As the city gets set for a new leader, one resident says he's excited to have Stryver leading the way.
I believe that there will be more change in our town, and our town will grow more now. I think Casey will promote new businesses coming into town, and that's always good for our town.
Officials say an instance of a write-in candidate winning an election is rare, adding how the results will become official at the city council meeting in Claremont next Thursday.
In Southern California, the mountain fire is forcing thousands of residents to flee in Santa Paula. According to CAL FIRE, the fast-moving wildfire has grown to more than 20,000 acres and is only 5% contained. This fire has destroyed dozens of homes in several Ventura County communities. The out-of-control brush fire started Wednesday morning. So far, no injuries have been reported, and the cause is under investigation.
More than 50 million people across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic are under red flag warnings today. Dry weather, gusty winds, and ongoing drought have prompted a risk of fire for this region. Philadelphia's consecutive days of no measurable rainfall have now reached 40, crushing the previous record of 29 from 150 years ago. New York's second longest dry streak of 29 days, that ended October 28th when they saw 0.01 inches of rain. The red flag warnings will expire tonight as winds slowly begin to decrease.
Jury deliberations continue today. In the Delphi double murder trial, Richard Allen is charged with killing 2 teens in Indiana in 2017. Prosecutors say he confessed more than 60 times to murdering Abigail Williams and Liberty German while he was in prison. But questions remain about his mental health and the lack of DNA evidence linking him to the crimes.
Wisconsin police averted extreme tragedy this week after arresting a teen who was allegedly trying to shoot up an elementary school. Police say tips from the community led to the arrest of the 13-year-old Kenosha Middle School student. This teen allegedly walked into an elementary building Thursday holding a backpack and black duffel bag. He ran when he was approached by school staff. Officers were able to talk him into surrendering. Police say an initial investigation reveals the suspect shared videos and made several comments to fellow students for weeks leading up to this attempt.
This is something that had been told to people of his growing intentions. We know that there was internet searches, and all the red flags that we would look for and expect someone to report were there. And we're coming up forward saying we narrowly missed a tragedy today. And we're just going to re-encourage everybody when they see something, say something, help us out, have those talks with your children. These videos shouldn't have been seen by us today. This should have been reported to us earlier.
An important message there from law enforcement. Again, this is a 13-year-old.
A new form of cardiac arrest care has saved the life of an Iowa man whose heart stopped for almost an hour. Ken Platt of Muscatine was the first successful recipient of the University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics eCPR. That is a machine that takes the patient's blood, oxygenates it, and puts it back in to keep organs alive during chest compressions. One of the physicians working with Ken says although the treatment isn't a cure, a study out of Minnesota shows it can make a big impact in each patient's survival rate, which is normally around 10%.
That why Minnesota group was able to increase the survival by 3 times. So the Minnesota group, what they showed, the survival went up to 35 to maybe 40%.
Right now, the system is still in development and only works within the first hour of cardiac arrest. But staff say they are hopeful about what this success means for the future of cardiovascular care in Iowa. Wow, technology is amazing. It is 5:10. It is a busy night for state football and volleyball tournaments here in Minnesota.
Plus, a lacrosse shelter is giving people in need a chance to take a load off. We're going to tell you all about that coming up.
And a pretty quiet weather day today. We were looking at our allergy outlook and back to the high range for dust and dander. We noticed that change yesterday in the wake of the showers that were impacting the area earlier this week. But we'll look for more rain chances this weekend. Maybe that'll drop the dust and dander allergy levels down a bit. Talking about some weekend rain and some cool days ahead. Your first alert forecast is coming out.
This app is for your more. And now, your first alert forecast.
Good looking weather day ahead of us. A little chilly this morning, but it is November. We kind of expect that kind of thing. But overall, peaceful situation, 30s now. 50-degree temperatures later today with less wind and more sun than even the past few days have brought us. So we're looking at a live picture from our Lewiston Auto camera in Rochester, looking toward Assisi Heights, star-filled sky. Temperatures right now mostly in the upper 30s, a few spots in the 40s still at this hour anyway. Austin 41, Mankato 41. Here in Rochester, we've just in the last hour dropped to the 30s, 38 officially at the Rochester International Airport, RST. 39 in Winona and La Crosse 46. Skies are clear. We are tracking some sunshine ahead of us until clouds begin to take over. These coming in ahead of a storm system, quite a whopper of a system in the Panhandle region of Texas and the Four Corners region, coming out of the Four Corners anyway, moving up from Colorado. This is going to bring us a chance of rain. There's snow, though, at this hour in Colorado and in New Mexico. Even some flood warnings and watches parts of the Panhandle of Texas, but looking at up to a foot or more of snowfall and powerful wind gusts to 40 miles per hour. So there's a blizzard warning in New Mexico, northeast corner of New Mexico. Colorado up to 20 inches of snowfall. There's still snow falling at this hour for another 24 hours before the system finally tapers off, moves out, and brings us rain. We have warmer air where we are, so the system comes in and brings rain chances this weekend. And the next week between the storm systems, some 40s and 50s with some sunshine. So seasonally cool weather with just a little bit of rain down the road next week. Future track today, starting in the 30s with clear skies. Mid-40s by lunchtime, and looking ahead at the afternoon, just a ton of sunshine, a gentle northwest breeze. Temperatures in the mid-50s, not half bad for this time of the year, about 10 degrees above the seasonal average. High clouds drift in late tonight, temperatures still in the 30s. And then tomorrow, we begin to see showers spread across the map by mid-morning, lasting through a big part of the day. Not a ton of rainfall, but up to maybe a third of an inch of rain tomorrow, another tenth of a quarter inch on Sunday, especially in the morning with a brisk breeze, and then drying out in the afternoon. So rain chances tomorrow, Sunday morning, a break, and then another chance of very light rain next Wednesday. Temperatures, for the most part, still above average, still cool, right closer to 50, but that is above average for November, so I guess we'll take what we can get. Temperature-wise, 50s today with some sunshine in Rochester and in Mankato, even Mason City. Readings in the 30s tonight with a few gathering clouds later in the night. And your 7-day forecast, again, we're looking at readings mostly in the 40s and low 50s for Austin, Mason City, Mankato in the next week, which is kind of typical for November, maybe a little bit above average by a couple degrees, but not unusual. And here in Rochester, rain chances part of the weekend. Next week, more sun than rain, but definitely feeling the chill as the lows around the freezing mark and high temperatures kind of barely reaching the 50s.
Yeah. I mean, we're above the seasonal average, but it's normal to start seeing those 40s this time of year here.
That's right. Sweater weather, jacket weather, mittens weather,
all the things.
like that, yeah.
All right, thank you. I think we can all relate to this, that after a long day, sometimes you just want to kick your feet up and relax, but that is not always possible for people experiencing homelessness.
Thanks to a recent donation, a shelter in La Crosse is looking to provide some relief. Dashiell Menzel has this story.
As the cold winter months are fast approaching, the La Crosse Warming Center is opening for the winter season, and this year they're offering a little something extra for visitors, 45 reclining chairs. The chairs were donated by the Mayo Clinic Health System.
When we shifted over to our new hospital, our old hospital rooms are just there without patients in them, and so the furniture in there we are looking to rehome where it makes sense to organizations that serve the community.
Catholic Charities, who runs the Warming Center, and Mayo Clinic have had a long-time relationship in La Crosse.
Catholic Charities is a really good organization, and the people that they're serving deserve dignity, warmth, hospitality, and we're happy that we can help in this way.
Catholic Charities Advancement Director Rob Grover says having the donated recliners is great because they were in a place where improvements were needed.
The chairs we had were getting kind of older, they're heavily used. So to have these new chairs in here for our guests, folks in our community that spend all day on the streets, for them to be able to come in and be in one of these comfortable chairs, being able to recline and sleep, we just are so grateful to Mayo for making that happen.
Grover adds that as the shelter opens up for the winter season, this donation will mean a lot for the people who come here.
Folks that are used to having nothing or having very little, to be able to come in here and sleep in a spot where the chair is, again, nice and comfortable and newer and fresh, if you will, it also helps build dignity into our guests.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Nick Spiliopoulos. It's another busy night for state volleyball and football tournaments. Let's get a look ahead. Here's a preview of the MSHSL state volleyball tournament semifinals in chronological order. In 3A, the Stewartville Tigers will play the Marshall Tigers in Class 3A. At 3 o'clock, the Fillmore Central Falcons will aim to keep their Cinderella-esque run going against the Minnesota Vikings in Class A. And finally, in Class 2A, the Chatfield Gophers take on the Holly Nuggets tonight. 7. To football, one game tonight in Minnesota. The Leroy Ostrander Lyle Pacelli Cardinals, as the home team and one seed in the South, play Renville County West tonight at 7. KM Telecom Stadium is the neutral site location for this one. Also, Iowa State football quarterfinals tonight in the mix as well. The Decorah Vikings hosting the North Scott Lancers in the Class 4A quarterfinals. In Class 1A, the Sumner Fredericksburg Cougars have a huge task in front of them. Grundy Center on a 36-game winning streak, and only one team can advance in the state tournament. Both of these games beginning at 7.
In the Big Ten, the Iowa Hawkeyes are out west to play UCLA tonight. The 6-3 Hawkeyes are going for their third straight win over a Bruins team that has only won 3 games this entire season. Kickoff from the Rose Bowl is at 8 p.m. The Minnesota Timberwolves are playing their their second game in consecutive days, rather. After a win last night in Chicago, the T-Wolves are back home at the Target Center hosting the Portland Trail Blazers. This one starts at 8 o'clock as well. The Minnesota Wild also taking part in back-to-back games. Minnesota continuing their 3-game road trip on the West Coast against the Anaheim Ducks. It's a late-night puck drop from the Honda Center that is set for 9. It is a 5:21. It's Friday. Talking more sports here, which means Sunday Night Football is almost here.
We're going to share our football picks for next week's game coming up.
KTTC Weather, sponsored.
Charles Kelly, UW Milwaukee.
Jess Abrahamson, University of Northwestern, St. Paul.
Aaliyah Dimry, St. Cloud State University.
Ted Schmidt, Southern Illinois.
Kelsey Marrier, University of Minnesota, Duluth. Go Bulldogs.
Stefan Stoyanovich, UW Milwaukee.
Mike Crowley, Wu-Tang Forever.
It is Friday, and that always makes us laugh every single time. Time for our weekly football picks. We do this every Friday for the Sunday night game airing right here on KTTC. This week we have the Detroit Lions heading down to the Lone Star State to take on the Houston Texans. Of course, you can watch this game on KTTC at 7:20 this Sunday night. So let's just get right to it. We have a lot of picks to get to with our 8-team crew. There's a lot of picks we got to put up here. So the decision I'm going with today, you guys, is kind of sticking with NFC North teams. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions, kind of keep it within the division, I think, if that graphic keeps revealing. There it is. Jess, what do you got?
Yeah, we need the magic wall. This is election week. Ding, ding, ding. I think the Lions are going to roar as well.
Okay.
They're coming off a Packer victory, right?
Yes.
Yes. So
what do you got, Ted?
I'm going to go with the Lions as well. They're pretty tough to beat right now. On a roll, we'll see how it goes, but so far they're kind of
until further notice, probably one of the best teams
In the league?
NFL.
Okay, well then maybe we're doing good so far. Yeah. All right, let's see what Charles has. Again, a full spread so far.
This is getting boring.
I know. This happens a lot, I feel like. Let's see what the rest of the team is choosing for our Sunday football picks.
Oh,
We do have one lone
yeah. All right.
pick for the Lone Star State.
The Lone Star State has a lone pick from James, one of our directors here.
Yeah,
So
going with Houston. Guess we'll have to wait and see what happens like we always do. Let's check out what the standings are at this point in the NFL schedule. Looks like, yeah, we got a couple people still tied. Charles, James, and me with 8 and 2. Aaliyah and Jess at 7 and 3. And then some of the rest down at the bottom, Steven, Ted, and Mike as well. Those keep changing, though, throughout the week, depending on our picks. It is 5:27. We are checking out a new restaurant in Rochester, cooking up some Mediterranean cuisine.
sounds good to me. Plus, the deer hunters in Minnesota are gearing up for the start of firearms season this weekend. We'll be right back.
Join us as we celebrate you and your dog.